Alright everybody, welcome to the channel. If you don't know me already, I make YouTube videos for Resto Druids, and one of the things that I wanted to do was a gameplay review over my own gameplay that I think will help any Resto Druid that's learning how to play the game and wants to get better achieve their goals. So a little bit of background before I start the footage and begin the commentary. I have never set foot in this 17 key on my Resto Druid before. I do, however, have resilient 17s that I got early in the season on my Rogue, but I'm historically a Resto Druid player. So one of the things that I've done recently is return back because I want to be playing it in Season 3. And one of the things that I like to do is help my viewers and anybody that wants to learn how to play the spec better be able to do so. So, 17 Cinderbrew, I've never healed it before. I have done the key many times before, though, on a different spec, very different role. Okay, so, first things first, I'm running a very healing-oriented build. I decided to run Germination instead of the Dream of Cenarius. And the reason behind that is we have two pugs in this group, the Shaman and the Prot Paladin. This, if you haven't noticed already, is a very off-meta group outside of the Arcane Mage. We are running with the Prot Paladin, Enhanced Shaman, Shadow Priest, Arcane, and Resto Druid. This is not a meta comp whatsoever. However, I think this is really great for a lot of people to see that there are ways to make many different comps work at a high level. And so yeah, let's get right into it. I think I've yapped enough. All right, so the first thing that I'm paying attention to here, okay, is making sure that this is going to be a triple muscle pull, okay? So we want to have all of the healing in the world. This is extremely hard, 10 out of 10 difficulty. Everybody has to play this perfectly. We don't play this perfectly, but we do scrape through. So I hang back to make sure that I don't get meleeed. I'm positioning to where everything is running to my tank, okay? So this is the way that I try to ensure that I don't die on pull. If I die on pull, right here, the key is already bricked, okay? So, if you are new to healing or want to get better at Resto Druid, the biggest thing, the number one thing that you cannot learn just from guides, but I'm trying to point out to you right now, is you have to know where to stand and why. If you don't know where to stand, you will always struggle in any form of content in the game, okay? We position in PvE and PvP based on where our tank is and where our party members are, okay? If you've seen any of my guides beforehand, I'm just doing the very basic thing that I always say, the wax on and wax off. We have double life bloom out and FLO on the ground. And now I am going to be pressing every single button that I have, essentially, to ramp here. So the first keg comes out, I instantly dispel. 2 kegs, dots. I send my convoke while looking at the ground to avoid the AoE. Okay, one of the things in hindsight, I should have waited to pop my convoke, and the reason why is at this point, because we have a Shadow Priest, he's going to send his Vampiric Embrace on his cooldowns, okay? If you look at the bottom here, sorry for that it's kind of covering, but our Shadow Priest is doing almost, yeah, for a second there, over 2 mil HPS in addition to my 3.28. I make a mistake here by not saving Convoke until after his Vampiric Embrace is out. However, we are well ramped here. Our Dispel is on CD. Or no, it wasn't. That was the GCD, excuse me. Here's the next thing. I should have instantly dispelled this here. This is very important for anyone that's doing this poll. You want to be making sure that you're dispelling these dots as soon as possible. It significantly helps you. But I, at this point, am thinking that I can just brute force everything. This is where I should have sent my Convoke. However, our mage uses his ice cold, and we have a sack that came out from the Prot Paladin. The Prot Paladin bubbles, and you could see everybody's HP jump quite low. This, again, right here, I should have dispelled our Shaman. I do late, but as you can see, our mage goes from (100% HP) so about 80% HP to dead. The reason why that happens is I believe he gets throw chair and the exploding and 2 stacks of exploding keg. He didn't have any defensives going. So that was unfortunate, okay? But with RNG, that can happen. The only thing that maybe could have saved him was his health pot there. And you can hear him. This is one of my friends in Discord. And he said he was trying to get his health pot off, but it's very quick. Okay, so once someone dies in this poll, this is where it gets out of hand. Our tank is taking quite a bit of damage here too. You can see how this poll, we didn't do the best job at focusing the muscle. So not all of this is just on me at this point. Plus, we are at almost 4.6 mil HPS. So we are absolutely pumping. Our Prot Paladin is also doing 1.35. Our Shadow Priest is doing 1.35. Our group HPS right now, and look at what is still happening here because we don't have any externals left. So hopefully, like in the future, this poll ends earlier than right now. You usually want this, or at least the muscles, to be dead at about 45 to 47 seconds. And we're about 1 minute into this poll. And what happens is these muscles keep doing their AoE, and we don't have any ramp left. So we do get a couple of deaths here, but we continue on. I reapply my Heart of the Wild, or Mark of the Wild, rather, as soon as possible because that is very important to get a 3% versatility buff. Okay, so the next thing, Chewie. On this poll, we have one thing that needs to be interrupted. The rest of the damage is what I would consider cosmetic, okay? We have plenty of time to heal everyone back up to full HP. And I think this is a good lesson for beginner Resto Druids, especially, or those that are trying to improve. When people take damage, it doesn't mean that it needs to be healed back instantly. In the case of the last poll, you wanted to instantly heal it back because with triple muscle, more AoE is coming soon. With this, we have the AoE on a set timer. So I shift into cat and I kick that cast, and I over time reapply different hots to everybody. I shift into bear form to just give myself a bit of a DR. The only person that you want to be really careful of that they won't die when I say that you have time to heal people back is definitely going to be the tank. The tank has special privilege because they can die to melees, especially at, higher key levels even than this. Those melees start to hurt, especially if they're taking them natty. So, don't be stingy with healing your tank. You can be more selective about when you heal the other party members as long as you have the aspect of time on your side. But with tanks, you don't often have that because they're taking melees. So in Discord, we're kind of talking about kind of what happened. And again, I just work on the fundamentals. 2 life blooms out, F-low down, shift into bear. We already have our heal kind of ramped. And see everybody's ticking up. And this is where we make kind of an interesting call. I think it was the right one because we lived, but it was risky. Because of the deaths, I was a bit concerned on our timer. So I typed to the tank that we should pull this into boss. Our mage says one thing. He can't live all this. There's no way. Okay? But I'm concerned about the timer because we've already lost a minute to deaths. So, in my opinion, and this might be a based opinion, but if personally, I'd rather brick a key quickly and know it's cooked than spend 25 more minutes in it before realizing it. So in my opinion, I type out we go boss because I want to make sure that if we're going to continue, we have a legitimate shot at timing this key. This is a risky call though. So I barked the tank when he got low. Could have been earlier on that. Notice that he is also essentially out of defensives. So this is a pretty decent bark. But this next section is, again, because we're pulling all of these into this boss. I mean, usually you pull in some funnel, but this is quite a bit. This is a very difficult pull because I also have to manage the dots on our party members. So I go ahead and send a healing convoke. And again, life bloom, F-low. And I just applied hots to everybody. Because my only goal here is to make sure that we don't die. We get extremely close. I'm spamming on our tank here. He lives. What a Giga Chad. I tell our priest to disperse, but he doesn't. But we are able to get through it. This is also not ideal that the dots come out right on this phase, but I just sit and focus on healing. Our mage altar is there, so at high HP, so he was also able to help me out there. Once that happens, I go and grab a BREW and continue on. Again, Life Bloom, Efflow. I try to get my any DPS that I can. Both Life Blooms are out. I reposition my Efflow. Again, I reposition my Efflow. It's very important that you do that. I shift both Efflows very quickly to the two people that get dots. And I'm back to cat weaving because there's a small amount of time that I can do damage, and any that you can do safely is good. Goes on the same targets, but I'm already ramped. I give our shaman bark there to hopefully so he could save his astral shift in case if he needs it, and I do a poor job at some point of ramping. This is a scary situation that I want to point out, okay? Let's see here. Let's go back a little bit more. All right, so when these dots come out, unfortunately, they go on the two people that I haven't ramped on. So if something like this happens to you when you're playing Resto Druid, number one, skill issue, but two, that means you need to use something to come back from that. So what I do is I go ahead and I press Convoke almost instantly because I should proc some healing and spread some hots. I do a great job at ramping on these two, but I get caught essentially lacking here. And we get a couple of gamer moves from different party members. I think I saw a healing surge on our priest, and then a sack from our paladin. So our team is gaming here. Life Bloom. And eventually I'll put down Efflow wherever I can. But I am trying to conserve a bit of mana here. See, I'm looking where to find our priest. I see that it's flying in the air to me, the brew. So I go ahead and just immediately, because I'm not ramped on myself, press skin. Bark skin. Our mage mass barriers, which buys me some time. So I actually opt to let our hots do the rest of the healing and I'm not regrowth spamming. I reposition our Efflow. And we get a dwarf, so one of those dots is taken away. We have an altar. And I think that was an auto-procced sack. But we get through that pull that was, quote-unquote, not possible for our tank to live. He did a great job. Our entire team did exactly what we needed to do to pull off that pull, as well as do enough damage to kill it. I run ahead and try to drink a little bit. Now, this is a situation that happens to a lot of Resto Druids that is very difficult. This was another sketchy part of the dungeon because we actually end up missing this kick, okay, on the Purveyor. So there's a lot of AoE that happens here. But your first globals, when caught in a position like this, I have no hots on anyone except for one rejuve on the shaman. But our tank on this gather, he does have plenty of CDs, but this is still sketchy because I don't have a single button on him yet. So I go ahead and opt to send, or to stabilize his HP. I set my focus on the Purveyor. I thought this Wrangler was going to be further back for some reason. That's why you saw me turn around, because I was looking for it just to go ahead and kick it. And I do kick it here. Okay. The next extremely important thing about this poll. If these stings don't get CC'd, you need to know who the people who have these stings on them are and immediately start blasting them with HPS. So I shift both of my life blooms, okay, onto those targets, and I see 2 more stings heading on our shaman here. So this is not good. The volley goes off, but I'm already sending Convoke. Yeah, so since I'm in Discord with them, nobody kicking that really surprised me, because that's the most important kick on this poll. Anytime that you're fighting a purveyor, it's the most important thing. So Fuzzy here does a really good job. He has 4 stacks. Legitimately, even at a lower key level, 4 stacks is, I don't want to say unhealable, because you could do it, but we're in a very bad situation here. Our tank is dying. Fuzzy is dying, but he uses his ice cold. Great move. Our tank trades bubble there. Very good idea. And I'm just trying to desperately get things back under control. I CC the shedding stings. I throw my vortex down to stop the next set. And our tank almost dies to those final stings. I just try to drink here. We end up going back the other way. That poll usually isn't nearly as sketchy, but when you do just not kick that, it definitely makes it significantly harder. I go ahead and I'm just trying to make sure that we live here. So I send a healing convoke again. Our paladin is a gamer. He sacks a good target, because that allows our mage to just keep blasting in his surge, which is massive value. So that is a high IQ play. I have both life blooms out. I bear form this, and our mage sends a mass barrier right before that damage, so it actually we don't take much damage at all. That's a beautiful barrier. Trying to get out some damage when I can. And we stabilize and kill this pole. We are going to skip the double hobgoblins here. This is actually a very chill part of the pole. In a higher key, we'd probably have to figure out a way to also pull this in, but it does make this pole significantly harder. So one of the things that your party members need to know is when they're going to be doing a meld skip and such, that there are some times that Resto Druid Hots can kind of troll. So I told Fuzzy that to make sure that he had no hots on him, but I also didn't apply any on that pull. So we're just waiting. We do this on the opposite side of normal because our mage is doing it. He sets up his altar, pulls them back, altars back into a invis, and then a blink. I don't even know if he does blink. Our tank was weak here. I should have noticed that ahead of time and just sent Bark, but he does a good job of living. I send my CC. And I'm just making sure that on this less pull that we have no deaths. I think that was an auto sack again. I kick when I can. And I make sure that our tank is nice and healthy. He doesn't have any CDs really, so I just go ahead and bark him. It's a bit late. I think on pull would have been better, but we're gaming. I bear form that. Use my renewal in between. Which that is a really good tech to get used to. You know, bear form. Man, prop pallies we have to play so well, man. So, let's talk about what happens here. This is a really bad situation. Our tank is dying. We are getting channeled on. Which this does quite a bit of damage. I think I meld. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Okay, we live. But what happens to our Shadow Priest here? Disperse was the only way he was going to live here. Because when the Hobgoblin charges, because I don't have shields to give anybody, he was also getting targeted by Spilled Drink. So those two things hit at essentially the same time, and he gets wombo comboed. I send Bear Form just in time. Then Sack goes out too. I send Convoke here for healing just to make sure that we catch up again. And I'm just, again, trying to practice the fundamentals. Life Bloom, F-Low. And you can see I'm frantically applying hots, trying to catch up. As soon as I can, I try to get out some damage. I skin here. This goes far, which was nice, but we end up actually killing it as it's running away. I Typhoon that mob out. Then we make one more pull, one more Hobgoblin. I haven't played with too many prop paladins, so I'm trying to get used to the healing pattern, you know? Usually I like to open in stealth, but obviously I wasn't getting that opportunity. I shift out of bear form a little too late, or too early, unfortunately. And I use my kick on my focus. And I try to apply some damage to the Hobgoblin. So I apply Rip and Rake. And our Shadow Priest there was telling me I was playing a bit safe. You know, I was focused in on everybody's health bars. I should have sent the Hobgoblin closer to the wall so his rift would do more damage, because what happens is when he has his rift out, it will just follow the mob, so I think it missed the testers, unfortunately. And that's my fault, definitely. I pre-bear that one because I'm below, 80% HP or so. And we indicate we need to pull because there's not any time to waste. We are about half mana. So this is I'm trying to play a bit conservatively, trying to conserve. I don't want to get into a situation where I completely run out of mana. That hasn't happened to me in this season or this expansion yet. But in Dragonflight, was very possible for Resto Druid to do. I just decide to send my Healing Convoke with this. Again, I'm just playing extremely safe. I can just regrowth spam through that, but I decide not to. So here, I just instantly dispel one of these and then just shift all the healing to the person who doesn't get dispelled. So I dispel myself as soon as it hits me, and I think I communicate to Fuzzy that he should be okay. And then we do our ramp. We don't have Convoke back, so we are just... I trade my Bark Skin. And now we have time to let our Hots take care of this work. Put my Vortex down. I'm looking... I instantly dispel myself again. I tell our mage that I have him. I trade Convoke again here. And I'm just being very careful of my positioning. I apply Rake on, I think, all of these, just to help kill them just a tiny bit faster. It isn't much, but anything helps. Once both of those dots are gone, I shift back to Cat and start doing as much damage as I can. I Typhoon the enraged BREW there, which is good timing. Again, I use my Bark Skin here just to make it a little bit easier for me. And Crayon is safer than he's ever been with both Sack and Iron Bark on him. I set my focus to one of the purveyors this time. Jake kicks at the very last second. One of those goes off again. So we've failed that every time thus far. Which again makes me have to play a lot safer because that's a lot of incoming damage. I bear that. I make sure that I kick one of the purveyors that time. I make sure to kick again on that one. So I'm just communicating here with my team. I get a little bit confused at what we're supposed to be doing here. So most groups will pull that back, or, you know, like we always had a way that we would do it on my rogue. But that's another thing about positioning is I know that, hey, I meld there. I'm not sure why we went back at this point. It was a little bit awkward. But I mean, you're gonna have that in like, you know, pugging and getting used to what's going on when it's different every time. But outside of that first pull, like, it's been relatively smooth. So our mage says that he's on the purveyor again. I'm getting a little bit more used to when I need to heal a prot paladin versus not. I want to make sure that you guys see this, but our priest makes an insanely cool grip. If you've ever pugged this dungeon, you've probably seen it, but if you can't see him right here, but if you get hit in the wrong direction, you can pull the mobs up here. So our priest is paying attention to the direction in which he's getting hit and grips him back, which is insanely cool. And I make sure that I compliment our Shadow Priest for that. And I told my friends here that I'm going to try to get every barrel that I can, but that, you know, if they know, if I tell them, hey, I need help, that means I need help. Imagine, it's not like an optional thing. That one explodes, really unfortunate. So we get 2 barrels, more spawn. I stopped the bees casting there. I'm looking for that, a bee, so I get in. But we stabilize. Take that. I meld to make sure that I'm not getting meleeed. But it's better than dying at least. I just tell my team, like, hey, we're doing fine. If we just do the mechanic of the fight, we will win. That's cringe. I send my bark because I don't have the best ramp. I just find the person who's weak and send my stuff immediately. I actually thought the barrels would be spawning a lot sooner, so I don't want to exit, but I also can't send it. So this is a little bit of a weird situation for me. So I take 2 out immediately. Hot the tank. So I think I get all the barrels on that phase, which is ideal. And I'm just playing super safe here. I send Healing Convoke. We win if we just, again, do the mechanic. This key gets a bit tight from here. There's not much healing to be done here. Our Shadow Priest is going to Mind Control 1, a bit higher HP, so we can keep Mind Controlling it. We don't do a good job at deciding which is the next, so we kind of waste some time here. So, one thing that I want to point out about anybody who is MCing these, Crayon moved away from the MC so that he doesn't get meleeed when he tries to re-mind control it. If you don't do that, you can die. And I'm just trying to do as much damage as I can because the timer is starting to look a little bit tight, though we do have Lust available. I go ahead and just send my Convoke, just trying to do as much damage as I can. I know that he's going to get meleeed when it comes out, so I'm just healing him. We're trying to communicate to our tank that the bees are coming soon, but they bug out. One of the things that I communicate to my team on this fight in particular, that I find the most dangerous part of the fight is actually when people get this dot, to use a defensive rather than actually on the AoE that happens in the middle. Because Resto Druid is extremely strong into this type of damage. I mean, look at this. And keep in mind, guys, this is a 17. It's, you know, not a world first key, but nobody's HP moves. Again, I'm just playing super safe here. When the timer is tight, a lot of times, in the past, right, I started to play what I would consider scared, okay? And what I mean by that is I start doing things that I normally wouldn't do or playing more risky, okay? So the two biggest things in this situation is that, number one, no one dies, okay? Because if someone dies, especially if it's a DPS, we probably don't time this key. Even though we have a B-res, just the amount of damage for that split second that we can lose might be the difference between timing and not. I reposition F-Low to be hitting as many of the players as possible. And again, no one's HP goes below. Like 90% for most of that. I Life Bloom, F-Low. Again, I get as many dots as I can during the time that I can. And I am making sure that we are very healthy. Because again, this is, I think, the scariest part. That was a not the greatest move from Fuzzy on to me to also give me the dot, but we take care of it. But again, whatever my team needs to do maximum damage to time this key is what they should do, and I just try to make it work. So now we don't have Convoke until right now, so I send it a bit late. But again, nobody's HP is going, you know, below 80 that time. We got about the lowest that we have yet. And we're doing plenty of damage, but again, we're missing a bit of percent. Our mage says no break, so don't break the barrels. We're just trying to pump. This is the one time, you know, that again, I'm playing super safe here. No one dies at the end. Quiz. Write the answer below if you're still watching. What is the one way that we can still fail this key? It is if anyone gets meleeed. I am playing super safe here again. These bees don't take long to kill, but the only way we do not time this is if somebody dies right here, okay? You guys, you have to recognize the danger in every single pull in order to play Resto Druid efficiently. That is the biggest danger here. So, lock in, recognize the danger, and I'm setting up my healing. And we timed the key. Was it a perfect run? No. Our first pull needs to be a bit better in order to time, you know, a higher key. But what we did, the rest of the key was good enough to time, okay? So, sometimes, I hope you guys, you know, might have learned something from this video. I enjoy watching my own gameplay. There's a couple of things that, you know, I tried to be fair and point out where I should have been doing something different or whatnot, and I hope that you guys can learn something from that, and also so that you can, perhaps maybe better identify, your own issues. The other thing is I love doing reviews of other people's gameplay. If you do have a key that you want reviewed, I have a pretty good experience in Mythic Plus in Dragonflight, and I'm going to be pushing on my Resto Druid once again in Season 3. So if you want to brush up on your skills, in case if you're going to be maining Resto Druid, and it could be potentially meta, if you want to brush up, get some advice so that you go in with a plan and can do your best and conquer this next season, Season 3, now would be a good time to do it. So, if you guys made it to the end of this video, I would really, really, really appreciate it if you would, number one, like the video, and if you haven't already subscribed, if you would subscribe. I'm going to make some more Resto Druid content like I was in Dragonflight, but this time I am, I think, going to go try to go even harder so that more of you can achieve the goals that you guys set out for you, and I can hopefully be a small part of that along the way and help you be successful, and you get to see some of my own successes. So, to summarize, I've never stepped foot in this key before. We time it the first time. That's 100% success rate. That's really good. So, if you guys liked it, again, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will yap at you guys later.